Hello, MMA Share. It's late tonight, and I am just finishing up my workout drink and some of this delicious beef jerky. And I'm watching this show called Ghost Adventures. And what it is these guys that go out to these places where people say they're haunted. And then they bring cameras with, filters on them and infrared cameras and all these weird recording devices to pick up electronic voice perception and things like that. And it's a really interesting show, really, really good. And they get a lot of things that make you wonder, if there's something going on here or not. And that's the topic of what I'm going to talk about for the next 10 minutes or so is ghosts and what I think of that issue and this show and what I've seen on it. I really haven't paid as much attention to ghosts as anybody, who's interested in the type of things that I'm interested in. I know, the reductionist would say that UFOs and ghosts and Bigfoot and things like that are all go hand in hand, and once you believe in one, your your ability to reason and your ability to accept or not accept things just becomes, weaker and weaker. But I'm watching this show, and then before I watched this one, there was that one I was telling you guys about before, the Destination Truth. And unlike UFOs, I haven't done much reading on the subject, but I'm just looking at what these guys bring, and they bring to the table more than I ever could if I was going to do, an investigation into this stuff. And this show's crazy. They go, the last one I saw, let me see if I can, they went to this place called Poveglia, which is in Italy, and it's this island that's out on the river, and when all the people were dying of the plague in the 1600s, they would ship these guys off to this island and basically keep them there as a quarantine. And then they had, workers out there that when these people would die, and those workers are probably infected too, who knows what's going on, but these people would die and they'd all be buried out on this island. It's a very small island, and they're talking about thousands, and not like 2,000 people are all buried in this island. Like 14,000 people are buried out in this island or were died. And then when there was 3 cases of the plague that they used this island for. And then after they used the island for the plague, they used it as a prisoner quarantine, like Australia or something, but just right in the river. And they'd bring them over there. And then, so it was a prison camp for a while, then it was a sanitarium, then it was an execution spot. They'd bring prisoners across the river, execute them, and bury them out there. And they're talking about that these guys are running out of dirt. There's so many bodies in this island that they're saying that the dust that's made from the bodies is like a giant portion of what the island is. And, so they go out there and they bring all their cameras and the recording equipment and they get some weird, crazy things. And a little bit needs to be said about these 3 guys who are on the show. The guy who's like the leader of the show, his name is Zach Bagans, and he's an interesting looking guy. He has a faux hawk, and he is all muscly, and he wears Affliction shirts, and he's kind of hard to take serious. You're like, oh my God, this is not my people right here. But he, in this episode, he's usually really giddy. These guys go out there and they hear shit and they see stuff, and and every time they see something, and they see a lot and they hear a lot, but I'm not always convinced what they see and hear in these ghosts. But whenever they hear something, they get excited, they get giddy, and it's fun to watch. And you're just like, oh my god, you half want to hate this guy, and then you half really like what he's doing, because it takes balls. I mean, even if you don't believe in ghosts, but everybody's telling you that this place is haunted by the devil and fucking crazy shit's happening. I mean, it'd be hard to go into this place with no power, no nothing. 16 or 14,000 people were buried out here, died, or did some crazy shit. And it takes balls to do what these guys are doing, but this guy is usually really, really good-natured. We watched a whole season of this, and then we watched another season, and he's always giddy, but in the middle of the season, this guy goes psycho. Out of nowhere, he just gets super fucking mad, and starts doing, he breaks his camera in half, and what the fuck? So it makes you wonder, it makes you think, is there such a thing as, bad energy and dark magic, or, ghosts? What is that even anyways, There's people who think, and I'm kind of this mind myself, that ghosts or apparitions, or when people hear voices out of the middle of nowhere, that it might be history replaying itself, a lot of people do this thing where they walk around with the microphone turned on, and they're like, "Is anybody here?" And they're waiting for EVP, this phenomenon which happens on tape recorders and sounds like voices. But I'm kind of the mind that maybe these things aren't intelligent at all, and they're just literally something that was happening there earlier being replayed. There might not be any entities except for what used to be there and what actually happened, and that's what people are seeing and feeling and hearing. I've never experienced anything like this myself. I lived in a place as a teenager that people said was haunted, and I never experienced it. It was an old hospital that used to have a morgue, and there's the little body slats downstairs in the basement of this place where I used to live. But a lot of people reported shit in that house, and I lived there for over a year, and I only felt things, electricity, and where the hair would stand up on your arm and shit, but I never saw anything or heard any, ghouls or... I'd like to hear what you guys think about this subject, or if you guys have any stories, anything that I could look up. If you could point me in a direction, if there's some place that you guys know is haunted, where you live, and it might have had press at one time, and I could look that up, that'd be cool. I'd like to read some more about this stuff. Well, that's about it, I think, today. I'm going to post some videos that I could find of the show in case any of you guys ever want to watch it. Even if you're, totally skeptical about ghosts and spirits and stuff, but you just want to watch a good show, even if you just want to watch it to hate the guy, the lead guy, because he's just such a weirdo, it's an entertaining show, and it will definitely chip an hour out of your day faster than you think that it could happen. You get lost in it. So that's it.